if you want to be independent and find work and and still have a little bit of free time, and you've got to stay right on the edge of what's happening in the technologies, the bits that aren't yet commercially viable for the big organisations to explore, because everything that I've done over the past 6-7 years has been caught up, commodified. You get forced from two ends of the spectrum. The large media organisations, the web design and development companies and the PR companies push downwards into this space. They think they understand it. There's also a groundswell of people who really don't know what they're doing at all, but they've heard about it, and they set up small companies in local areas, and the sort of things where you see an advertisement on the side of a railing somewhere, making your website for £50 or €50 or whatever, and I can't compete with that. I don't have the morals to allow me to knock those out so quickly. I can't compete with the sort of pitching and I don't know, process-driven things that a large agency can build, all the safety that a large agency can bring. So anybody who's independent gets squeezed out of that and has to move on to another kind of sector. And some people are doing that through their own ways. They're either collectivising together, forming companies which can compete a little bit, or they're drifting to education because that's a kind of safe place where people can, in academia, where people can experiment, or they're finding their own little niches and getting very, very into one particular thing. The kind of weird generalists are getting squeezed out. So it's actually been very, very difficult the past year or more to find enough work to survive on. I'm not a person who's been very good at networking in a money sense. I know lots of people, but knowing lots of people that actually have any power to give you any work or give you any money is another matter. So that's kind of and also I genuinely feel that lots of things that I myself and my contemporaries came up with have been not only co-opted but directly stolen by companies and organisations in a lot of ways, with absolutely no recompense. Because we certainly do, and probably still have a culture of if you have an idea, you get it out there, and ideas are not copyrightable. Even the only things that's copyrightable is the very hard to develop code that we can't actually develop and things like that. So you see all those things that we'd worked on, dissipate and get diluted by capitalism essentially. So that becomes really disheartening. And I think I made a conscious decision maybe 6 months to a year ago that I no longer cared. We'd lost the battle for the soul of this particular social technological revolution. So I was then decided that I needed to do other things. I'm now concentrating on, I've kind of split my professional and personal interests a lot more. I now think, okay, I will do this for money. It doesn't have to be interesting, but the stuff that I am doing that is not for money has almost no commercial potential whatsoever. It's moving back into the more esoteric, arty world of kind of literature or publishing, where in the sense that publishing makes absolutely no money whatsoever, and I don't think it ever will, and I don't necessarily care that it will.
But the experiments you're doing now with the writing and stuff, that's directly come out of that then, of those experiences. But you've gone into the writing. I mean, I see you've put books up on downloadable on Kindle or whatever. But you're not really aiming to make any money off that.
I think the target of making money out of online publishing is so far away to reach that you don't think there's no ideological problem for me that I would think about charging money for anything. I'm a little bit uneasy with the kind of charitable aspects of certain types of crowdfunding exercises. I'm writing a book on the English seaside, which necessitated me and my writing partner and my driver taking a trip around the coast of England and Wales. There was absolutely no way we could have afforded to do that. We looked into it, we couldn't afford to do it in stopping in very cheap campsites and sleeping rough and sleeping in the car and hardly eating for a week. We still couldn't possibly afford to do that. So we did go down the crowdfunding route, and we raised just over £1,000, which was just about enough to do that. It hasn't paid us any kind of stipend or anything while we're writing the book, but it paid us for those 2 weeks not to starve, essentially. But we couldn't have done that without our knowledge of networks and how to reach people, and also the kind of little bit in the media. It was we didn't get a lot out of it, of money out of it, but we got a fair amount of media coverage, just purely because I think at least I know how the media works a little bit, and I could reach the right people. I knew who'd be interested in it, so we got a wodge of money from our networks, but also that little bit of money that we probably couldn't have done it without, from things outside our networks, because we were able to reach through the mainstream media to do that. And I'm kind of worrying a little bit that particularly lots of artistic people, think the funding gap from into the age of austerity is going to come from private individuals throwing them a fiver or €10 here, €10 there, because there's a finite amount of things that people can do it. There's a finite amount of people that you trust to do something. You're not going to give money to someone who's just had a good idea you've got absolutely no idea about. It's not going to happen. So you can't know enough people. The projects that get funded are from people with direct experience in an area, demonstrable experience, and really good networks to get it out there. So the fledgling artist is still going to be reliant on larger handouts from large philanthropists or central government, or to an extent them doing something else, them finding something in their practice that means that they can teach, or they can survive on 4 days working in a factory, and they've got 3 days left to work on their art a week and running themselves into a ground. I think that what that kind of means is that I think for lots of people, the connect between being able to make a living vaguely out of your artistic or research practice and being able to do that is kind of being really, really squeezed. I think that's something that me and my contemporaries had the opportunity to do for 5 or 6 years, and I don't think people in the future are going to have that.